Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. As you can see today, I have very special guests with me. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. Please tell everybody who you are.
Okay.
Who's going first?
Okay, let me go first. So my name is Yeni Adenuga.
Is it Ayani or just Yeni? What do you want us to call you, though?
Yeni is fine.
Okay,
I mean, my full name is Ola Yeni.
Ola Yeni, no Ayani. Where did I
Yeah.
get that from? I think I thought because you usually say Mr. A. So I was like,
Oh.
A for Ayani because I've heard Ayani, but I've
Oh,
not
yeah.
really
So
heard.
Ayeni is a bit more
Popular.
Yeah, it's
So
more
it's Ola
popular. Yeah,
Yeni.
so, yeah.
It's from our surname that I call him Mr.
Okay, I didn't know that. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Lovely.
What do I do? I walk in alignment to the angels of my destiny.
A.
A word.
But yeah, so I'm a videographer, video producer, creative director, graphic designer.
One
I
of the
do a
best
lot.
in the
Everything
world.
creative.
Everything.
One of the best in the world. You know,
Yeah.
I saw a video, like I think one of the first videos that you did when you touched down Manchester.
Oh yeah.
Hey! When I saw that, I saw my husband, I said, the man is
He
talented.
is proud.
You know, as I came, I had to come in with a bang.
No, it was loud. I don't know about the other people. Personally, I edit. But you're really great stuff that you do. You're really
Yeah.
talented. Great work, great
Yeah,
stuff.
thank
Let's
you.
meet you, Mo.
Okay, hi. My name is Mo Adenuga. I am a marketing strategist. I'm also a content creator, so I create content on faith,
Also one of the
career,
best.
finance, fun content sometimes, a mix of
Yeah.
everything really. And yeah, I think those are like the two major things I do. I coach, sometimes as well, like career
Okay.
coaching, personal finance coaching, depending on what like clients need per time basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like the two major buckets.
That's so important, and especially like I would really just use the opportunity to say that if you are a lady and you are listening to this podcast, please book her. If you're a guy too, but I find that maybe for the people within my sphere of influence, not a lot of women are having conversations around finances, and maybe one day you come back on this podcast to talk about that because it's so important. We need to be thinking of building assets, building wealth, especially for women. I remember I was listening to a podcast. They mentioned something that I hadn't really talked about, but it's so true when I think about it. When women are thinking of building their legacy, it's always about like other people. So you find women wanting to do charities.
Yeah.
They want to do community development work. They're serving in the church and all of that.
Mm.
But when it comes to what you're passing down to your children, I thought about it and I realized I have a child, I actually have not thought about what I want to pass on to him. I'm just thinking, oh, that's kind of like what my husband is doing, and two have become one now. So yeah,
So
that's
let me
just his
leave it to
responsibility.
him, yeah.
Exactly. Just made me realize that, we should also be thinking about that because God forbid anything can happen.
Yeah.
The people that has happened to where once passed as passed on or something.
Yeah.
Imagine if it's the husband. So it's like you're now left with this responsibility. So it's really important that everyone is having these conversations.
Yeah,
But anyway, really great work that you do. We really appreciate me. I appreciate you. I don't know if you see my comments. I'm just like, yeah, oh my god, yes. Anyways, so I'm so grateful to both of you for taking our time
Thank you for having us.
grace the podcast. And you're our first guest since the rebrand. So this is good company. You are good company.
Yes.
Today we're going to be talking about, obviously, why would I bring married people if we're not going to talk about marriage, innit? So I prepared a few questions that I have to ask you, but it's going to just be like a conversation. We're just going to have a little chit chat. First thing I want to know is how you met. You've talked about this. By the way, they have a thriving YouTube community, so follow them on YouTube. You have told us, those of us that are on board the Adenuga train, those people that are still under the rock. Alas, now that this episode will be
We
released,
shall be brought to the light.
my brother.
All right. So how did we meet? We met at work.
Okay.
So we used to work at a fintech company in 20. So she joined before me. I joined in 2021. I think you joined in 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we happened to be working in the same department, in the
Yeah.
marketing department. So I was handling videos, graphics and things like that, while she was a
I was
marketing
the
manager.
video vixen too,
Yeah,
'cause
exactly. So
like he was shooting me for some of those.
yeah, so anytime we needed to do videos on, because it was a fintech company, so anytime we needed to do videos on finance and things like that, she would always be like the face of the video. So we kind of spent much time together. Yeah, because I was shooting, she's behind the camera. But there was nothing at that time.
Yeah.
Just friends,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
colleagues.
Yeah, I mean, we later became like close friends because I
Okay.
mean, we had like I mean, literally everyone in the marketing department actually, we all became like close friends because we kind of bonded over, you know,
The shared
Wow.
and
interests.
yes, that's the better way to put it. We bonded over shared interests. So yeah, so we became close friends, and in so let me just move now to where things, almost started to happen.
Yeah.
That was in September 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, September 2023. Yeah. So she moved. So she left the company and then moved out of the.
UK.
Yeah, she moved out of the country. I went to the UK
Mm-hmm.
while I was still in Nigeria. But then we all still like kept contact. We used to talk and all that.
And
But
at this time, you were still just friends.
yes,
Yeah.
we're still just
Eh,
friends.
this
Yeah.
is very interesting.
We're still just friends. So 2023. Yeah, so let me stop there. So
Okay.
2023, September 2023 was when things started to kind of take a shift, right? So now I'll leave that remaining part
The
to
juicy
Mrs.
bits. Oh
A.
yeah, now let's
Yeah, the
go.
storyteller.
Okay, so
Actually,
so the thing is like things shifted even before September
for you
2023
or for both of you?
for me mostly.
Okay.
So because we were friends, I also knew that he was dating somebody before I
Okay.
left Nigeria. So when that relationship ended, I was one of the first people that he told,
Yeah.
that, oh, I'm no longer, like, I remember
Why I did
exactly how
that, I
he
don't
said it.
know.
It's because we
But
were friends,
Yeah,
but it
fair
was the Lord
enough.
also
but there was a
leading you.
deeper
Yes.
ministry.
But I think he texted me and he was like, I've been put back on the street or
Yeah,
something,
I'm
because
back
that's
on the
how we
street.
used to
So
say it that time when one of us
That's
breaks
such a
up.
friendship way to say it.
See,
I
yeah,
like
like
it. I
I'm
like
back on
that.
the street. So
like, and I texted him, I'm like, oh, we need to have a call that,
yeah.
what happened, all that. And then when we had the
Oh, you
call,
wanted to do therapist.
ah,
A shoulder to
free.
cry on.
But yeah, so after that call, I think we also prayed at the end of the call. I actually prayed for him and all that. But immediately I ended the call, I actually said, Holy Spirit, is Yeni my husband?
Really?
Yes. And the
Oh.
reason is, like, a year or two before, I had a
Yeah.
friend in my church. I wasn't attending CCI in Nigeria, who anytime I posted, because I used to post like the marketing team on my stories, or these are people I work with and all that. And he kind of knew Yeni, right? And he would always reply my stories anytime I posted Yeni on my stories when there was nothing to say. Yeah, I see you people together, you and this guy, something, something. And it's now that I see that he was being prophetic,
Yes.
but I didn't know it at that time. Because that time I used to tell him, this guy is not,
In a
is
relationship,
exactly
yeah.
like, stop saying that and all that. So after that call, I just said, Holy Spirit is gaining my husband, and that was it. But then after that, my
Sorry, can I
life,
ask, was there a yes or no response?
I don't, to be honest, remember if the Lord answered
Fair enough.
specifically.
Yeah.
But I think what he answered with was that I started to really like him anymore. So I did not only see him as a friend anymore, I saw him as, this is a potential husband,
Husband, yeah.
right? Because our values, all of that, that's why we were even friends in the first place, was already like aligned. So I think that happened. That conversation was like in May or earlier in the year,
Yeah.
right? And from that period till September, I was always just thinking about Yemi, liking him. We also have like a group with the marketing team. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
like we used to talk a lot. Sometimes we even have
Okay, you were
calls.
still on that group.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was on that group. And it used to bother me that, God, how am I going to, what am I supposed to do with all of these feelings that I have? I prayed like crazy. I fasted because I just felt like I don't want to do the same things I'd been doing before that wasn't working. Like, if this is the Lord, let it be very obvious. And I remember there was a day just after like asking God, I actually got a word in the Bible that lets me know that Yeni is like my husband. I know that they say that, and I believe it as well, that God, like, there's not one person for you, but God
Yes.
approved of him.
Yes.
Now is, how is this man going to see that I'm the one, right?
Wait, so prior like to all when this was happening,
Yeah.
my friends were also kind of saying,
The
you and
same
Mobolaji look
thing.
good together. Are you sure you guys should not?
Wow.
Yeah, they
Was this
were
when you were
teasing
still
us.
in a
No.
really
When I
okay?
left the relationship, so I
Let's
left
see
that
that.
one.
This is your friend.
No.
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 So I left the relationship in April. Yeah, so all this conversation now started happening like around that June, July. Yeah, so that period we were always
They would tease us and stuff. Yeah.
and more you
So
guys
if you people
how
are
far.
single, what is wrong with both of you? All those
At
kind
that
of
time,
things.
me, I was still forming. Let me just
Pray about it.
let me pray
Not
about
which pray
it.
about a lie.
Let me
Let me
heal from
focus.
my
Oh, fair
Hey.
past.
enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Because you
I
had
mean,
just come out from a
but
relationship.
to be honest, I feel like I was almost giving myself an excuse because
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah. So it was very. I was just like, let me, chill. Let me just relax. Let me
Mm-hmm.
take it slow. Let me not do anything about it. And then,
Mm-hmm.
so it was more like on both of our sides. So she was also getting people tell her, oh, you guys. I was also
Mm-hmm.
getting my friends saying, oh, you guys should
Yeah.
be together and all that. Yeah. So
So we made the move eventually.
she'll get to that part.
Okay, let's carry on.
So, I mean, now in September, I remember just feeling like, because from Nigeria, I always felt like there were certain things that I should be open to like sharing with my pastors. That's the
Mm-hmm.
relationship that I've had with my pastors.
Yeah.
Not because I depend on them, because I have my own personal like
Relationship
relationship
with
with the
God.
Lord. But I felt like this is something that this light has been here for how many months? Like, what do I do with it? So I decided to have like a conversation with my pastor in Manchester,
Mm-hmm.
and that conversation ended up leading to our relationship. And I
Yeah.
didn't plan it. I literally just went to our pastor to say, PK, I have this feeling. It has been there for a while. Please just give me some counsel. What should I do? And because I come from a more like conservative background,
Okay.
I really felt like he was just going to say, go back and pray
Mm-hmm.
about it. And he was like, bring your
Ah,
phone.
PKK.
Well, God knows I was not expecting that. I was like, bring your phone, let me help you type a message. And he did
You
that.
did it.
But I quickly deleted it because I'm like, oh my God, yes. I was a bit like scared that why would he do that and all that. But then he had seen like a
Yeah.
glimpse.
So so let me so this so when I got the message, I was actually driving. So I didn't
Oh,
see.
he sent it, and
Yeah,
then
Yes.
he
And then
sent the
I
message to
deleted
me.
it.
In fact, at that time, he didn't even know I was the one. Like, Pique didn't know that
you were
it
the
was,
Yeni.
yes, I was the
Yes.
Yeni.
Okay.
So, I was driving when I saw the message. I just looked at my phone and I just saw, um, I think we have to talk. I feel something more. Or I think,
Something like that.
yeah,
I
something
don't really
around that
remember.
line, right?
Oh, you must have been so shy.
Oh God.
So when I saw this thing, I just smiled, but I was driving, so I didn't want to like pick up my phone
Yeah,
and read. So I got to where I was going, and by the time I picked up my phone, she
she
had
had deleted it.
deleted the message.
That's how you
So
even know that.
so I now replied and I was like, oh,
What did you
what did you
delete?
delete?
You're one of those people.
Yeah, no, I
If I
said
deleted it, no, but see, if I delete something, does that not mean I don't want you to?
yeah,
Exactly.
but I mean because of the kind of friendship, I was like,
Fair
if
enough.
yeah, like tell me what
Yeah.
you deleted, or it was a message you mistakenly sent
Mm-hmm.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I already saw the first line of the message, so I
Yeah.
kind of had an idea.
Of what it was
Yeah, so I
about.
said, what did you delete? So she said that, oh, did I see it? That I should
Yeah.
not worry. Like, if I didn't see it, I should not bother about it. I should not worry. So I was like, no, I saw a glimpse of what you said,
Mm.
and I think it's something we should talk about, right? So, so I think I was going for a shoot that day. So I said, okay, I would call her at some time. Like, let me quickly finish up my shoot, and
Yeah.
then so I finished up the shoot. I went back to my car, and I
See, I'm
called
just
her.
smiling.
Then I called her, and then we had like this, like almost a 2 hour conversation. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, literally started dating from that
That
day.
day, literally.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
lot of questions. I'm going to circle back, but
Okay.
just along the lines of, you guys started dating and everything. We know why you started dating. You like each other, fine, fine and good. But at what point did you now think, or did you now decide that okay, she she had already asked God,
Mm.
and you said there was no clear cut answer, but one
Yeah.
of the ways that you knew that okay, there's something more was you said developing these passions.
Yeah.
What about you? At what point did you now think, oh, Mo is somebody that can be a wife, can be
Mm.
my wife or your wife?
So I think that didn't happen that day. It happened a while back. So you know
Okay.
how they say if you look in your circle and you can't find someone that you can date
Married.
or get married to, then change your circle.
Mm.
So at a point in my life, I did that analysis and I was like, okay, Mo fits
It's a really good,
that
yeah.
bracket.
Okay.
So it was more of like a no-brainer at that point. Like
Mhm.
we've been friends for 2, 3 years. Because what are we doing talking stage for again? To say, oh, what's your favorite color? What's your no? So
Mm.
yeah. So all that happened the 3 years past that we've been
There's
friends, right? So yeah,
oh
and then after we had that call, that day, I was like, you know what? So I think there was, and again, another thing that kind of, um, will I say, was like a confirmation was, so you know how people say, let's see where this goes,
yeah.
right? So meaning there's no plan to it per se. We just say, oh, let's see where it goes. Let's just ride with the wave.
Mhm.
But instead of that, what I said that day was, let's make it go somewhere.
Mm.
So
A word.
yeah. So
Let's make it go
like,
somewhere.
the minute I said that, I wasn't conscious that that was what I said until
Yeah.
like a second
Mm.
later I realized that, wait, why did I say let's make it go somewhere? You know,
That's
usually it's
interesting.
let's see where it goes and then we
Yeah.
just start. But like I knew that, you know what, this was meant to happen. Yeah. So
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. So I think if so your story is very like
it's unique.
beautiful. It's very unique. I love seeing people who start off as friends. When I saw your video about, God funding your wedding, and yeah, it just really makes me realize that, when God approves, like you said, when God
Exactly.
approves of someone for you, He has approved a relationship. Don't really think too much about the nitty gritty.
Mm.
Because one thing I've not heard you people say so far is, oh, you were waiting for your to be financially stable, or you're waiting to get a dream job. I didn't hear any of you say that, or I don't know. Some people believe that, but
Yeah.
I found that, if it's marriage, if it's marriage or anything at all that God has called you to do, just do it.
Yeah.
And with that alignment comes ease.
Yeah.
So I guess that's actually a word for somebody,
Yeah.
like an encouragement. If truly you found someone that God approves of,
Yeah.
there
That's the
will
number
be
one
a
key.
certain level of
Yeah.
ease that will come with it. There might be challenges, obviously. The fact that God has approved of it does not mean that the humanly problems or
Will not still
challenges
find its way.
they will find its way, but you will be able to overcome it with ease,
Yeah.
and everything. So I really encourage everybody to watch that video where you talk about, how God sponsored your wedding, like really good stuff, great
Yeah.
stuff. But I want to take this conversation, a notch higher. And I want you to just talk to us about, so there's a phrase, marriage is beautiful, but it's work. My aim for this conversation is to really reshape the minds of people, because it seems that people are attracted to bad news. You know how they say, thousands and thousands of airplanes are flying back and forth every day, every year. But, once one plane crashes, it makes the news, which
Yeah.
obviously is devastating. But in terms of marriage, it's just, I feel like it's something that we, as a people,
Mm.
we need to unlearn.
Yeah.
That was something I struggled with. So it's really, really important to me that we amplify good marriages. And that's why I've brought you here, because you love each other boldly, you love each other loudly, you love each other truly. It's palpable,
Mm.
right? And I think people feel like, okay, then it should be easy, or maybe it's void of its troubles, or
Mm.
not even troubles. Just as with everything in life, there are hurdles you face,
Mhm.
challenges you face. If you don't want any problem, be alone.
Mhm.
As long as you are with somebody,
They will,
there are
yeah.
differences in opinions,
Yeah.
characters,
Mhm.
behaviors. You've come from two separate
Upbringing too.
families.
Yeah.
You live at least a minimum maybe 2.5 decades or however long apart from each other,
Mm.
and now you've come together to be one,
Mm.
practically. So no, some people say, okay, marriage is beautiful, but it's work. And I find that maybe it's that the fact that it's work that kind of deters people. So you see people saying, this is making me scared, I'm scared to get married, and I'm like, oh my God, don't be scared. So I
Exactly.
want you to talk to us about that. What did you do to, in quotes, prepare for the work that marriage is right now?
So God was already telling me, like, so I have a lot of dreams. I'm Josephine.
I love it.
2 years before we got married, I was already having, like, not every single day, but like consistent dreams that were telling me that I would soon get married. But I also knew that I had a lot of, I don't know the word to use, but like character development needs in my life. Like, I think one of the first things is just be honest with yourself. You want to get married, you want to have a happy marriage. It's almost like, what they're actually teaching us in church right now. You want to have a happy marriage, but what are you doing to get better personally? So for me, before that wedding day actually came, God was already kind of telling me, right? And I also started to see, like, I mean, for example, I have siblings. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll do something. My elder sister will send me one long WhatsApp message telling me
Yeah.
about, this thing you did, da 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 da. Da.
Oh,
And as the last born, so I was kind of spoiled, right? I'm still kind of spoiled, to be honest.
okay, a pampered girl. A
But
pampered
yeah,
girl.
so over that period of time, I
Mhm.
could see how I became a bit more intentional with working on myself,
Okay.
even with like friendship, for example. I saw how I could be better with friendship, showing up for people. Because if I learn that, I can do it better in marriage
Of
for my
course,
partner,
that's so
right?
beautiful.
So for me, that's like how I would say it's like God started to show me how I need to work on this, I need to work on that, I need to work on this. Not that I was a terrible person. It's
Of
just I
course.
had things I need to like develop and mature in, right? And when he showed me those things, I did not ignore it. I worked on them till today. That's my husband. I watch YouTube videos like I'm being paid, to
Yeah.
watch it. So that time I would watch like relevant YouTube videos on marriage. I also tried to gravitate towards good marriages, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you see bad news, you see, but I also had people around me that is it not the same marriage? See this person
Yeah.
enjoying. Like I knew you
You're
before
having
you
a
got
great
married. See
time.
you now, and you're so happy and you're growing and all that. So I gravitated towards that. I also prayed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned how even, when the Lord told me that Yen is a good match, I prayed, I fasted, towards my marriage. I used to also pray a lot for the person I'll get married to, for my like children, like things way ahead of time I used to do. So I would say those are the things, like working on myself and prayerfully, like getting ready
Yeah.
as well. And yeah,
And
those
you
are
engaging with content, relevant content that will build you up.
yes,
So I find
yes.
that people think that we are born with the templates to be a decent person.
Hmm.
Like we learn every single thing,
Yeah.
every good trait you have has been put into you by it may be upbringing, your parents,
Mm-hmm.
the community,
Yeah.
the books you've read, the videos you've watched, the
Yeah.
music you listen to,
Mm.
your
Exactly.
culture, everything that you engage with
Mm-hmm.
influences who you become. So
True.
one thing I did an episode called "Don't is it don't despise relationship content or don't ignore, don't look down on relationship content." Because I was speaking to a friend, a guy, and I don't know if he's a guy thing, so you might tell me. And he says he doesn't listen to one of our very favorite pastor couple relationship coaches to listen to, and I say, eh, why? He says, oh no, that once they just start all this, they're you married you as a wife, as a husband, and he's just like he doesn't really vibe with that.
Mm.
I said, okay, so how many books on marriage have you read or
Mm.
dating? He's like, he's even dating intelligently. Great book, by the way. You should
Yeah.
definitely pick that up. So he's even dating intelligently. Oh my god, he's going to listen to this one. Anyways, he said that, and then is his girlfriend
Mm.
that was putting him on to that, like who initiated them to read the book
Mm.
together. I said, so if she didn't do that,
Mm.
and
What
you
will
want to
you
get
do?
married soon, what makes you think you're going to be a good husband?
Mm.
Mm.
And it's that thing where you think you are going to be, but you need someone to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
Something just came to mind. I think it was Jackie Hill Perry
Mm.
when she quoted the scripture that says, "Teach the way." I think it was Paul was
Yeah.
admonishing the older women to teach the younger women
Mm-hmm.
to love their husbands and their
Yeah.
children. And she
Mm-hmm.
says there is a teaching that needs to be done.
Mm.
Yeah.
So whether you subject yourself, which is encouraged, subject yourself to discipleship
Mm.
or counseling,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, or if you want to do personally, read. There's
Yeah.
content out there that's free. There's this episode.
See.
Me.
There's this episode.
Mm.
Well, let's cap it at that. Mr. A, tell us what you did to prepare.
So yeah, so for me, I mean, first, most likely you guys have said it all because it
Similar
was
things
yeah, it was a
anyway.
similar thing because in my case it was more like I didn't even have a choice because so I went to Covenant University,
Okay.
right? And my parents, I used to attend when I was little, so I used to hear Bishop Oyedepo say,
Mm.
I have a hit-free marriage. There was just a lot of possibilities that I could just see
Oh,
Mm.
that's so
around me.
amazing.
Yeah. So even though like then I wouldn't have said, like I was conscious of it, but because I was just in that environment, it already
Mm.
shaped how I saw
Mm.
marriage, right? So I didn't feel like I mean, there was also the part of personal development, right?
Yeah.
Reading books, listening to sermons, things like that, right? So it just kind of helped my entire
Yeah. And it's
So
interesting because it's the simple things.
Mm.
It's so simple. And then obviously there's a practicality of it, living it out, which is another conversation because there's also people that like to consume and consume and consume. But it's not changing your life. Because I know sometimes people say, well, I'm not ready for marriage yet. And I'm always intrigued. Sometimes I tend to ask people like, okay, why do you think, why do you say so? Because I will not assume that you are wrong. Truly, you might be right. So I'm like, why do you say so? And you hear things like, oh, I don't have money yet, or I'm still working on myself. I'm like, okay, so what aspects of yourself exactly? First of all, you don't have to be a perfect person. Be someone that's intentional about working on yourself. And I'm sure that this is something that you're still even doing, even while you're there. Obviously, certain things then change from what to do before. Now it's
and
like
then,
what you do during.
Yeah.
So I really encourage you to please don't despise it when you see someone doing a video. Yes, in the first few seconds, you know if it's for you or not. So people are set up their own tripod to say that please, if your husband or your wife does not do X and X and then divorce them. Divorce them. Just don't even waste time. I was listening to a podcast. Great stuff, good lessons to learn. These are two divorcees and they were just sharing their experiences. If you listen to them, trust objectively, you can pick up a lot of lessons to not end up in their position. And what really stood out to me was the fact that marriage was not the problem. The people that they married was the problem, were the problems. So you married someone because you got pregnant with the person. It's not gonna end well. A 20-year gap. It's not gonna end well, darling. The girl said this man did bank transfer for her bride price. He came alone and just did bank transfer. At least put it inside envelope and bring cola. I don't know how you doing your tribe, but like some bitter cola, some cola nuts and palm oil. But she had telling herself that, oh, don't worry, like by the time she does her womanly things, he'll change. The little Pro Max. And then the other person, someone actually told her that the man that you're marrying is a lazy bone. He said the man is very comfortable in poverty. Is that what you want? She said, God forbid this woman for this bad belly. So both of them lacked accountability. They didn't, even the other young lady, she didn't have anybody that counseled her. So both of them lacked community. They didn't have an idea of what marriage should be before they got into it.
And that's the funny thing because people, that's the idea that some people have. Because when they see all this content of, oh, this person said, oh, she married her husband, he's a lazy man, this one said this. That's what people are focusing on.
Yes.
And it's literally out there, like you said at the beginning, like bad news travels like fast. Like people want to always see the bad news. And the good ones that are, telling the right stories, telling us that, marriage doesn't have to be, doesn't have to choke your neck like this. Like you can literally make it work. Even though like, yes, there will be, hurdles here and there, but you can make it work. But
talk to us about that actually. What kind of hurdles is considered healthy?
So I think, I mean, before like when we knew we were going to get married, we had very like tough conversations. I just remember one, but yeah. So we had like very tough conversations to sit down and say, okay, these are the things I expect from my partner, like from both sides, right? And I think one thing for me that I mentioned was, for example, I said a non-negotiable for me was I can't, if you cheat once, that's the end.
Yeah.
Like I'm like that. Like I can't wrap my head around it. I think it was same for you as well, right? Yeah. So those were like one of the things that we talked about. We also talked about like finances, right? It wasn't going to be a case of, because me, I said I like someone that is, what's the word? She's someone that is independent but also dependent. Like maybe like in the middle, kind of, right? Not someone that is always, I want to make my hair, give me. I want to make my nails, give me. I want to like so
your own birthday.
Yeah, exactly. On my birthday to give me. Right. So yeah, so those are the things that we had conversations about to say, what, these are our non-negotiables. These are the things that we should expect from each other. If you know you're getting married, or you're getting to that point where you get married, you should have a marriage counselor, someone that both of you are accountable to, because it really, really helped us like a lot. And because our counselor was great, man. Like he drilled us
So much.
very well.
I
Like
love that.
because I think their goal is to make you see that after this drilling, if two of you look at each other and say, this thing cannot work, then now is the best time to
To
go your
go,
separate ways.
yeah.
Yeah, but that drilling is necessary, is important. So after they've drilled you, you can look at each other and say,
I
yes,
still want to be
we
with
still
you.
want to go ahead with
Yeah.
this
Okay.
after the whole journey. Yeah, so it's right. And again, we also knew that we both had different characters. I'm more quiet, relaxed, I'm chilled, I'm a soft guy. I don't like stress. But she's vibrant. Let me put it that way.
Yes. That was the word I was going to use.
But yeah, so at that time when we had conversations, I knew it wasn't going to be a problem for me because, to be honest, I don't think I would want to get married to somebody that also as chill and relaxed as I am. Because both of us just be chill and
That'd be so
relaxed.
boring.
Exactly. There has to be some spice in the marriage, Yeah. So things around that, like our characters, our values, the way we saw finances, things like that. Yeah. So it's important to have like those conversations so you can know beforehand that, okay, if I enter this thing, I know that I've entered it. And I know we've had the conversation. It's a different case where you don't now have the conversation, you now enter, and then you're now finding out. Because sometimes when people say things like, oh, I got married and I found out that my husband does not, um,
Go
what the
to
example
church.
can exactly, my husband doesn't go to church. I'm like,
That's
okay, so
how
what were you people were,
now.
what
What
were
are
you
you
people
talking
discussing,
about?
before now? Like, what were you talking about? Yeah, so these are things that you must have, like,
Yeah.
have those difficult conversations beforehand.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so
it's very
important.
important.
So I find that some people just tend to shy away from it.
Exactly.
You need to step out of your comfort zone. I was
Yeah.
saying to someone that when you're dating, be a detective. Ask every question
Yeah.
that you have. Don't obviously. I'm not in support of. I think there was sometime someone asked me a question about so a guy asked her what he would benefit from being married to her. I don't know how about you, what you think, but I found that question a bit weird. What
Like
do
he
you
was
mean?
asking, what will I benefit from?
Directly, like what would be my benefits if you become my wife? So you that you're thinking
Red
about
flag.
marrying her,
Yeah.
you didn't see benefit. She needs to come and give you proper representation. Here are 10 reasons why you should marry me. I find it condescending. So
Yeah.
there's a way you can find out if
Yeah.
someone is compatible with you without being condescending or just being just. There's social cues
Yeah.
still apply. There's wisdom
Yeah.
still
There are
apply.
ways to go
There
about
are ways to
that.
go about it.
Yeah.
You can ask questions that are not so direct that will help you understand someone's thought process. Nobody is perfect, obviously, but like there are certain things that are just so important to you. You know what's important to you. So these are things that I find that will make your marriage either enjoyable or just a mess. I'm going to use this as a very nice segue into a comment I saw, and I want you to talk about it. I think the comment was around your in-laws are not that your in-laws are not in support of you. They are always for their son. Like I don't know. So this person is basically saying that when you get married, just forget about it. Your in-laws will never be for you, and that's something that I know someone would then proceeded to comment like that's something you're scared of, or mother-in-law, sister-in-law, la 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 la. So I don't know. Like, what would you say to someone who has that fear right now?
I think what I would say, is, why are you taking on someone else's fear and someone else's experience? Because I remember growing up, so you watch these movies where the lead female character will be praying that God, before I get married, please don't make kill my mother-in-law ahead of time. I'm like, why would you do that? Because
Oh,
you are
God.
literally going to be a mother-in-law to
When I
one
think
day.
about it,
If
oh
somebody
gosh.
prays that kind of prayer, for you, like, would you
Yeah.
like it? So I would tell whoever, thinks that all in-laws are bad is, why are you taking on someone else's fear, someone else's
Trauma.
experience?
Yeah.
This is going back to like being prayerful, pray ahead of time. Even if you're not dating anybody now, start to pray about in-laws,
Yeah.
Prayer
even your family
works.
members too,
Yes, to
the
your
person
partner.
as well, right? So I would say don't take on someone else's fear. And to be honest, there are in-laws that are terrible, right? For people like that, or if you ever get into something like that, I would say also pray for a partner that covers you. Because if you two are brought together by God, and the in-laws still decide that they want
To
to
put us
be,
under.
wicked people or whatever, just pray that you and your partner are people that cover each other, because there are partners that you will have that the way they will cover you, it's not that their siblings have changed or their mom has changed, but they cover you such that the heat, it
You don't feel it
never
Yeah,
gets
much,
you
to
never
you,
yeah.
get. Yeah.
right? So pray for, and again, those are, I would say that's another thing to actually look out for, that should be a make or break thing. If you are in a relationship, if you're not married the person, and you're already seeing that they throw you under the bus, you go and visit them and the mother is talking to you anyhow, the siblings treat you anyhow, and they don't step up for you in any way, I would say take a step back or end that relationship, because
Yes.
when you get into marriage,
That's
it's
even a
going to
bigger
be
problem than the
multiplied.
in-laws.
See, so yeah,
Yeah,
those are the
very
two things I would
important.
say. Don't take on someone else's fear. Don't take on someone else's like experience. But if that is the case where the in-laws are actually not great, make
Yeah,
sure that that person that you are getting married to is a
covers you.
good cover.
That's really great. My next one for you, a comment that I want you to kind of like tell us what you think about that. So someone says, "Don't show him that you're a superwoman, or you forever remain a superwoman." My when I first saw it, I didn't get it, but I could also use the example of the podcast I listened to where the woman married a lazy man. So she was really
Doing all the work
doing a
and
lot of
everything.
work, yeah, and the man refused to. It was ridiculous. So let me know, what do you think about that? Is she a superwoman to you? Or
She
what's the
is.
term superwoman? Like, what comes to mind when you hear that?
So I mean, Superwoman to me is someone who has a balance of both worlds. So she can be independent and she can also be dependent.
Yes.
Right. So it's not a case of like it's context specific, right? So she's independent in the sense of maybe she has a business, she runs a business. But so okay, let me put it this way. So I don't know if you've seen this reel that we did where it was International Women's Day, I think. Yeah, it was National Women's Day.
Okay.
So the post was like, "Oh, shout out to all the women who are bosses in their 9 to 5s, but when they come back home, they
Oh,
are
baby
babies."
girls,
Yeah.
come
So
on.
that's like the perfect way to to
Describe it,
explain.
yeah.
Yeah, to explain. So, but to that comment, you are a superwoman and you marry a lazy husband, and then your husband is
Yeah.
just dependent on
Yeah,
you.
fair enough. That's sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
What do you
But
say to men like that?
wake up, walk. Why are you
Yeah.
lazy? Because I mean, to be honest, like even the Bible says it, right? The husband is the head of the home.
Yes.
So as the head, there are certain responsibilities that you cannot run away from. There are things that you have to do as the head of the family. If you are not the case of you are the lazy type, you're always expecting your wife to be the one to do all the runarounds, finances, and all that. I think the question I'll first ask you is, first of all, which Bible are you reading? Who are the friends around you? What's your community like? Who are you talking to? Who is advising you? Who are you accountable to? Because people like that would you can already tell that they are not in the right circle.
Yeah.
The kind of things that they are listening to are things that would not essentially help them. Things that would
Yeah.
derail you from being the actual head of the home.
Responsibility.
Exactly, things that would derail you from doing those responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So what kind of community do you have around you? Who are you listening to? Who is your pastor? Who are you accountable to?
Yeah.
Things like that. If you are that kind of man, just wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like yeah,
important.
just wake up
I like that wake
because
up, because sorry for
mm,
cutting you, because sometimes we want to pamper people and say don't worry, and
mm,
yes, there's a place for that, but sometimes literally just wake up, like do what you have
Yes.
to do,
What you
please.
yeah.
have.
Speaking from a financial point of view now, men think that you have to. Some people I've heard people say, "Oh, I must have 20 million naira in my account
Before they get married.
before I
Oh,
get married."
yeah, let my dear.
And to be honest,
Thank
another
you.
thing that people overlook is the power of a double income household.
Oof.
I don't know how else to explain it, but just know that having a double income household is great. So that's why you also have to find a wife that understands, someone that's independent, someone that understands finances, and
No.
she's not just out to spend and spend and spend. Like someone that knows how to nurture funds,
Yes.
right? So yeah, so just having that kind
Balance,
of
yeah.
partner to say, you know what, I may not have 20 million naira in my account. You may not have 20 million naira account, but we are coming together. My 10,000 naira, your 10,000 naira becomes 20,000 naira for,
Yeah.
and the two of us have become one. So that
Yes.
20,000 naira is not for one
It's
person.
for, yeah.
In the sense of it, you get, because two have
Yes.
become one. Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, so just having that double income household is
Yeah, I can't wait for
really
us to
great.
do like a conversation on
Money.
finances. I did
Yeah.
one with my husband, money, love and money,
Hmm.
and finances in handling finances in a relationship. I think that was one of our most listened to episodes. So you could listen, probably the most listened to episodes. So you can tell that there's a demand for that.
Yeah.
People, because money is a spirit, and
My
it do
sister.
be cousin. It shakes
Issues.
foundations that are
Yeah.
not strong.
Yeah.
Because
But it's
I've
something
seen marriages that end because
because
of
of money.
finances.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah,
And avoidable things that can be
exactly
avoided, things you
because
can learn and unlearn.
Yeah.
That's really good. And just kind of circling back to address that comment of a superwoman, I'll say from a woman's perspective, I understand the fear, especially like you said, maybe for a lazy man. Now you are doing so
so
much.
much.
Everything.
It's a
Yeah.
partnership, so we need to share split some
Mhm.
responsibilities so that it's not too much on one person. I would say to anybody that's listening and you are worried that if you get married or when you get married, um, you your husband will make you do X and X, or your wife will put in so much responsibility on you, and that's for the men. You said it brilliantly. Don't take on someone else's negative experiences.
Mm.
Your Mr. Yeni, your life was shaped to an extent by your community because you saw several possibilities of good marriages and what it looks like.
Yes.
And there's something that's the mind is so powerful in how it shapes our reality. So I would say that look to people that are doing it right. Don't think that because someone else unfortunately married a nuisance, then
Yeah,
that's gonna
you're
be
going
your
to be,
story.
yeah.
Marry someone good and pour yourself mercilessly. Pour yourself entirely. Don't hold back. All this talk about like don't. And you need to see people in the comments saying, "Tell them, oh, their eye go soon clear. Don't worry, you leave them." Blah 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 blah. And like I hear that it's unfortunate that people are experiencing that, and I really deeply empathize. But for you that you're not there yet, and for you that you're probably in marriage and you're consuming these things, it's affecting your
Yeah,
mind.
it is.
It's affecting people's minds. So I would say that marry somebody and pour yourself. If you want to be a superwoman to that man, be.
Yeah.
You know the kind of person you got married to. Work. So I'm going to use my life as an example. Coming out of maternity leave early, and as much as I want to stay at home and just focus on my baby because that's what my body's wanting. But I recognize, like you said, the power of a two-income household. There are certain things that we can provide for our child that's two income. My husband works like crazy. You've met the man. He's always doing one thing or the other. Today is off day, but he's still working, he's doing meeting. Who does that? But and I'm like, I know the person I married. This man will go to the ends of the earth to provide. And so if I can start work earlier, I will do it. I am a superwoman. And I'm not going to hold back because this is who I was before I met him. If I wasn't married, I would do it. I would do what I needed to do to advance. I'm also a very ambitious person. I've always been a go-getter, achieving things. Now, these two people have come together. As much as I am his baby girl, I'm also a superwoman in the sense that I work hard. But at the same time, in him, in God, I find rest. And in my partner, in my home, I find rest. I find that peace. So know that you can be both. You can be a baby girl, like you said, be a baby girl when you're home, and then be a boss lady. You can. And when you're married to the right person, this person will nurture you and create an environment where that personality in you can thrive.
Exactly.
Right. So please don't hold back. Whatever it is that being a superwoman looks to you, don't attribute it to negative connotations. You get, I understand from a woman's perspective, especially in a deeply cultural society, there's certain responsibilities that are placed on women that should not be so. For instance, you're taking on the spiritual responsibility.
Yeah.
Only you're doing that one. You're also the home manager. You're paying school fees.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I see why someone would say, "Oh, being a super, don't be a superwoman." But then that advice is not good because it's basically telling you to hold back.
Yeah.
Please don't hold back.
Exactly.
But let's wisdom guide all our decisions, right? You've shared some really great tips. So I wouldn't even tell you to now give more tips. So you've said everything from consuming the right content, surrounding yourself in the right environment,
Working on yourself.
working on yourself, so important. Being prayerful, trusting the leading of God per time. And also not taking on other people's traumas or bad
Not letting
experiences.
social constructs.
Yes.
decide
In
your
fact,
view.
change it. Like take on people's
Good
good
Exactly.
experiences and
Yeah.
pray that,
Yeah,
that's what I
that's
want.
what. Thank you, because prayer works, and like I said, the power of the mind. What you constantly surround yourself with, you tend to become
Yeah.
subconsciously. So if you're constantly surrounded with good things, you become that.
Yeah.
Whatever you take in is what you give out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So protect your mind from the
Yeah.
negative things
Yeah.
and fill your mind with the positive
Positive.
things.
Word.
Alpha, I'm going to write book for you. Goodbye. But yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I am
Thank you for
deeply, deeply
having us.
grateful.
Yeah.
Truly, you've been great company, and I know that everyone that listens to you has been blessed. So this is an episode to really, really come back to
Yeah.
at every point in
Even
time.
for us, so we're gonna come
Actually,
back and
yeah.
watch it, and yeah.
Lovely. But yeah, I don't know if you have any last words that you want to share with anybody today.
So we've been married 6 months,
Yeah.
right? So we're able to
Congratulations.
we're intense.
Why intense? I'm learning.
But yeah, so whenever people ask me how is marriage going, I always tell them it's beautiful. I
I
highly recommend.
recommend.
Oh,
That's
sweet,
that's
perfect. I
it's
endorse this
beautiful. I
message.
highly recommend it.
I
Yeah.
endorse this message.
Literally, that's the same thing I was
Yeah.
going to say. That like I highly recommend it. It's just been 6 months for us, but I can see how in six
Just
months.
have you
Well,
seen someone that's been sick for
ah,
6 months? That's a long
actually,
time.
well, yeah. But
Yeah.
compared to other people, it's like short. But I can
Yeah.
see how in 6 months I have grown. I have enjoyed
Oh.
companionship. I have laughed. I mean, it's just that
You guys
companionship
are always
is
having a
just
great time. As an
see.
outsider, I can tell you for a fact they're always having a great
We
time.
actually have. We always say that if somebody puts a video or a
In the
camera in
camera,
our house,
and
comedy show.
I love it.
But yeah, like I highly recommend. Just do
That's
the
why she
right
married someone that is
things.
vibrant.
exactly.
See?
We also recommend that.
But yeah, that's what I'll
Oh,
say. Like it's
lovely.
beautiful.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing your experiences, for
Thank
being
you.
vulnerable, for the wisdom that you have dished out today. And we're really grateful
Thank you.
for being
so
good
much.
company. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
for having us as
You're
well.
welcome. But yeah, this is not the episode to listen to just once. So if you're listening, come back again.
Yeah.
But don't forget to like, to
Yes,
share,
please.
comment, and follow them. Please tell us. Just say it out. I will still link it, but like,
Okay.
where can people reach you?
So Instagram is the Adeno Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same on YouTube too.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, everywhere. Instagram,
Adeno
TikTok,
Guys.
just the Adeno Guys. That's
Yeah.
the handle.
There's only one. You can't
Yeah.
miss them. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening or watching. Make sure to like, comment, share. You know the usual drill. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.
Bye.